Right, guys.
Can't say anything. There we go. Finally caught up. Hi, guys. I'm Sai, and welcome to Ace Podcast Nation. On the channel, we got podcast interviews and content on all sorts of subjects, from football to mental health, MMA, boxing, movies, TV, conspiracy theories, and a bit of everything. We've also got our unique series, which is Unscripted Uncensored, where you, the people, ask the guests the questions. And we released one of those shows earlier today with my co-host for today. But it was an unscripted and uncensored show. It was a lot of fun. We talked all sorts of stuff. We talked Philip Kiss's tackling. We talked Juan Carla not being able to take a joke. I can't even remember. There's so much stuff. Boris Johnson, I think we talked about all sorts of stuff. So check that out after you've watched this. It's on the YouTube page. It's also the podcasting page if you prefer to listen. We also have our series, My Story, which we've released 2 episodes so far, which is the first one was with former England cricketer Chris Lewis, and the second one was with Wales international Reece Weston. And later this week, probably next Sunday or this coming Sunday, we have WBO former world champion, Mr. Robbie Regan, joining us for that series. And we've got loads of shows coming up. We've got an MMA show on Wednesday, looking at UFC 2, and also Saraba versus Royler Gracie. And then next week, we're looking at Joe Calzaghe versus Roy Jones Jr. All sorts of stuff to keep you busy, all sorts of shows, and lots of very interesting guests, including I'm recording a show with Lofty from EastEnders next week, which I'm quite looking forward to because that'll be a lot of fun. As you can see to my left is not Andy Campbell. Andy Campbell's still away on assignment. We have the legend that is former Scottish international, Cardiff City hero, Mr. Kevin McNaughton. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, all good. Just obviously getting a wee bit bored of being in the house, but plodding along.
Yes, plodding along indeed. Running the liquor dry is we were just saying, like, kind of running out of alcohol in my house is like down to like the gift sets of odd bottles of beer and stuff that
it's becoming hard now just to actually decide what day you're supposed to drink and
yeah, what time
yeah, what time at is there any room?
Yeah, you know, if there's no work and there's no school, is 10 o'clock in the morning too early? I don't know. So we got a few people in the live chat on Facebook and YouTube. Gaz says hello. Richie says hello. Peaches, Ian David. We have a beard off. Yeah, last week we discovered that me and Kevin have both got grey beards. Look, and the isolation is not helping with those.
Yeah.
I think they give it a couple of months. They could be like Father Christmas length beards, but there we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna try and keep it like football focused. No pun intended, because we're fed up of talking about COVID-19 and stuff, because it is just what it is. At the moment, everyone's locked at home. But I am just going to quickly say, if you're going for a picnic in the park or to the beach, while the rest of us are staying at home with our kids going insane, you are a massive asshole. And that's all I will say about that, because I could talk about that for about an hour, because it's quite frustrating. But there we go. And also, while we're on the subject of assholes, I suppose, Kyle Walker, much like Jack Grealish last week, put a tweet out and must have scheduled posts on his social media to say, encouraging everyone to stay at home and stay safe, which, it's the right message, and then proceeded to hire 2 ladies of the night to come to his home and have a special party, which, he's the second footballer in a week who's had to apologize for saying one thing and then kind of doing the other thing. At least he stayed at home, though, Kev, I suppose. There is that.
Yeah, I suppose. But how many homes did the other ladies been at, though?
Well, that's it, isn't it? Yeah. That's it, isn't it? You guys, no, I don't even know where to go with that. It's like, but yeah, you're right. It is what it is. But it's like, I get that it's like really frustrating to stay at home. But like, in all fairness, I'm pretty sure I'd find it a lot easier if I had like a swimming pool and a jacuzzi and a gym and a football pitch and everything else within my property. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Poor celebrities finding it a bit difficult, aren't they? They're just struggling a bit, aren't they? And yeah, so I was half expecting you. Mate, sorry.
I don't really get it. I don't really see no. It's not fun, but you know, you find ways of getting around it. It's not the hardest thing in the world to just stay in your house. No, there's tougher things to be doing to save lives. Sitting in the house is not really the toughest thing in the world to do. You know.
No, it's not exactly hard, is it? It's like what did someone say? Someone said to me the other day, like your grandparents and their grandparents were like going off to wars and stuff and leaving their family behind for like a year and all this sort of stuff. And like really all you're being asked to do is stay at home and spend some time with your kids, watch Netflix and drink.
Yeah.
You know, sure you can manage.
Pretty good at that.
But yeah, it is what it is, I suppose.
Found over the last year and a bit since retiring, I'm pretty good at tossing about. I'm kind of mad.
Professional at that. John Casey says, I want silver hair too. We all do. And I said last week I had made that clip of the chanting and stuff, your song, and I still can't get it small enough to fit into this show, which is really frustrating because like obviously it's on the unscripted and uncensored show.
Yeah.
But because I was recorded, I could use a slightly. My wife's laughing at some filthy joke. Oh, no. There we go. There we go. It's live. I can't do anything about that. So that's completely thrown me. Not a great deal of stories going around, like Kyle Walker, when I just found a bit like irritating and hypocritical. I was ready to give Liverpool a bit of a rant about placing their non-playing staff on furlough and taking, using the 80% government grant. But someone texted me literally about 10 minutes before we were about to start to say that they've completely reversed the decision and apologized. So I can't rant about it. However, what I will say, and Jamie Carragher made a really good point about this, was that before they did that, Liverpool had done quite a lot of good in terms of the virus. Like Jurgen Klopp very early on was saying, football's not important. Football, we've got to make sure we keep the fans safe. We've got to keep the staff safe. We've got to keep the players safe. That's more important than, winning the league or playing the football matches. And then obviously Jordan Henderson was phoning around the captains of the Premier League teams to try and sort out wage cuts and fundraising for the NHS. All fantastic things. Then Liverpool announced that they'd made a massive profit. I can't remember what it was, but it was like, I think it was about 40 million profit. I think might have even been more than that. And then about a few days later, they announced that they were placing all non-playing staff on this furlough, which is basically means that I think it means they're going to pay a small portion of their salary, and then the government makes up the rest, like 80% of it, which obviously comes out of taxpayers' money.
Yeah,
Joe Bloggs, and I think it's in poor taste, or it was in poor taste. Obviously, they've gone back on it.
I think the problem is that it's there for companies that are really struggling and who've got to go bust, basically. Well, borderline bust. They're going. People will lose their jobs if they don't do it. But in Liverpool's case, it's not that case. So don't see why they had to do it. But listen, they've turned it around now. So I think it was down to supporters as well as I think the manager actually played a part in actually getting it turned around as well. So she's good.
Yeah, it is good, and I think I didn't see very many Liverpool fans defending it. I got to say, on social media, there was a lot of Liverpool fans criticising the club for it, and obviously, it probably didn't help that Man City and Man United announced in the last couple of days since Liverpool announced that they were doing it, that they were going to pay all their staff full, and they were paying the match day staff an average of. So that probably didn't help with the pressure that they felt. The pressure they were under. But the main thing is they've returned the decision and they've done the right thing. But I think it's also worth saying that just because football clubs generally, it's quite a rich business in terms of the amount of money they charge and make and etc. Not all football clubs are in a position to pay all their staff, their players in this time. Some football clubs, particularly lower down the leagues, they rely heavily on gates and merchandise and and food and drinks and things like this to pay their players. They're the kind of clubs which you want to see using this grant, because I said to Andy a couple of weeks ago, if one football club goes bust during this virus, then we've all kind of failed, because just because they're a football club, they're just in exactly the same position as your local businesses or your whatever, all businesses.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's clubs that obviously run month by month on what they actually bring in. So it's clubs like that who are really going to struggle, and especially even at lower leagues and non-league and things like that. There's going to be clubs that are going to be feeling the pinch really to try and keep guys signed up and keep guys on board. So it's difficult, but like you say, it's a business as well. There's people.
Oh, Kev, you're breaking up, mate. Massively. Kev's frozen. He's frozen in time. He'll be back in a minute. He'll have to go back out. He'll have to go out and back in again. But he'll come back in a minute. Super Kev. So you can leave questions for Kevin in the live chat, whether it's Facebook, we're on Periscope as well today, YouTube. Leave your comments for Super Kev, and we'll answer them as we go along. Just while we wait for Kev to come back, he might have to reboot his computer. So get involved in the live chat, and then we can. I'll just keep us going until he comes back, basically. So yeah, Kev, we'll just wait for Kev to come back, who's got lots of people in the live chats and the various things. So say hello and whatnot. We're going to talk about. We're going to finish talking about this. We're going to talk about Wayne Rooney criticising some of the calls for footballers to take a 30% wage cut, because not all footballers are in the position to deal with that. Guess that in just a sec.
I'm back. Sorry.
Super Kev is back.
Apologies. I think it's hell without the sticks and internet. It's not the best.
Andy Campbell Championship T-shirt. Here he is. He's back. All right, my friends.
Yeah.
So we lost you there.
Yeah. Dodgy internet. I think that's
what you get for living in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. In the middle of nowhere. So seems to be all right now.
So yeah, no, this sometimes happens, doesn't it? My wife just said that I booted you out because someone said we were having a beard competition. Shocking.
I got a message.
Never do such a thing.
I got a message from a mate the other day saying you're going to look like a wizard by the time this flimming this lockdown's over.
Yeah, you have to wear like a Gandalf hat, and you just be superb. Just like a big, long, pointy beard. I'm thinking if the lockdown goes for like a year or something, I might just grow like a braided beard just for the hell of it, like just to see what happens. So Ian David just asked, are we closer to the season getting cancelled? So this is something which I've been quite vocal about over the last few weeks, with you last week and with Andy previous to that. Like, to me, I just don't think it's important. I think it should already have been binned off simply because it's just not that important. But I sent you an image the other day of all the different leagues around Europe and just everything from below. So everything below the National League is the null and void. The National League is suspended indefinitely. Serie A, Spain, Germany, Italy, Portugal, they're all suspended indefinitely. Euros have been moved to next year. Champions League, Europa League, all indefinitely suspended, except the Premier League, the EFL, and the Scottish Premier League. And to me, it's just a bad look because I just think it stinks of like a money grab rather than trying to do what's right, and feels like they're more concerned with trying to get the TV money or ensure they get the TV money rather than what's perhaps right. And like we discussed, just now off air, is we're getting to a point now where if it drags on another couple of weeks, there's just not going to be enough time to finish the season, and they're going to have to bin it.
Thing is, they'll get to the end of this month, and then if they're still in the same situation they are now, then there's a slim chance of getting the season finished. I understand it's probably what I want. I want the season finished, but it's just becoming impossible now. It'd be great to see it finished, but it's not going to happen. The safety issues. There's all sorts of issues that are going to, this is not clearing up anytime soon. So, for me, they'll make a decision end of this month, I think, and it'll just be cancelled. I can't see any other way, but you never know. But I just can't see it. Can't see it at all.
No, I don't, and I know some people, like a couple of people, have said that the only reason I want the season cancelled is because of like Liverpool and Leeds and this and that and the other. But people forget Cardiff are still in a chance with going up in the playoffs. So it's not that I want the season to finish. I just don't think that everything else and all the other leagues should be disrupted and decimated to ensure that Liverpool win the league, or that Leeds go up, or whatever, or West Ham stay in the Premier League, whatever it may be, whatever the situation. I don't think that we should put the Premier League over everyone else. It's just my opinion, obviously, but like, to me,
for me, I think they're just delaying it. They're delaying a decision that's just going to eventually have to be made. So I think all that they're doing is they're delaying this decision because of the controversy that it will cause. That's it. So they're leaving it as long as they can, to the point that it's going to be impossible to get any fixture done. So they'll be left with the decision just to cancel it. So I think they're just trying to cover their own backs, to be honest with you. Give it as much chance as they can.
Yeah.
Can't see it.
I think as well, the other side of it is, would clubs prefer if they said it now, so they all know where they stand, and maybe they could open the transfer window now until September and say, right, you've got extra time to get your contracts, your everything in order. Let's make sure that everything's runs smoothly and set up for next year, because the longer it goes on,
let's be honest, it might actually affect the start of next season.
Oh God, yeah. I like, when you think of it, it doesn't seem to be any. I don't want to be like all doom and gloom and like, though there's no hope. There's no hope, but I don't think this situation isn't ending anytime soon, should we say? Yeah. So, it is what it is. Guys, you can send your questions in as you're going along on. Obviously, we'll answer them, and Kev will answer them as we're going along. If you could drop a thumbs up on the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel while you're there, that'll be amazing. The best way to support the channel and the show. We think Andy, for those of you who have just joined in, obviously that's not Andy Campbell. That is Kevin McNaughton, ex-Cardiff City and Scotland defender. Andy should be back next week, but it's still the Andy Campbell show. or the Andy McNaughton show, as I called it the other day. But there we go. Another story which caught my eye was Wayne Rooney had a bit of a at I don't know if it was directed at people generally or at the media, but he basically said, why are footballers being targeted to take a 30% pay cut across the board, because not every footballer can afford to take a 30% pay cut.
No, it's just like any other job. It's just, there's guys who earn the top end of the scale who probably wouldn't feel it as much as any other boy, but there's guys who are working, the bottom end of the scale who are just surviving like everybody else. So I don't see how they could do that. I could maybe see a certain, beyond a certain amount of money you earn, you can maybe then look to take a percentage from that.
So Ian, who's in the live chat currently, he sent me a message earlier, and he made a really good point in that one of the things people forget is that footballers, the majority of Premier League footballers, pay, I think, 50% tax on their wages. So, like, I know it's still an absorbent amount of money. So, but like a footballer on 100 grand a week actually only gets, I know that sounds ridiculous, only gets 50 grand a week. But what I mean by that is like
50,000 goes into the coffers of the government. So
yeah, and that's it. And if you're taking that away, that's less money going into the taxes pool. And there's various ways that they could do it. And don't get me wrong, there's some footballers who could go a month without a penny and it wouldn't make any difference to their life whatsoever. But not all footballers, not all, especially once you get out.
The only fair and just way would be to take a percentage from people who earn over a certain amount of money across the board. You can't just pick an industry and say, look, nah, you know what? Because they're in the public eye, we'll go for them because they're kind of, you're seen as doing not enough anyway and getting overpaid as it is.
Yeah.
So. But you could say that about other people who are not in the spotlight. So.
Yeah, and I saw so Aaron Ramsey made two donations to an NHS charity recently. I think it was like 2 lots of 100 grand. I think that might be wrong. It might have been 10 grand. So I don't know which way around it was, but 2 big chunks of money to the NHS, and like he made this donation without off his own back completely, and then I went into the comments expecting it to be full of praise and that's a really nice thing to do, because it was a really good thing to do. He didn't have to do it, and it was full of people saying, "Oh, only 10 grand or whatever, 100 grand, whatever it was. He earned so much money. How can he only give that much?" And I couldn't believe my eyes, because I was just like, he can't win. Footballers can't win in many aspects, because if they don't donate, so my wife, my assistant, just told me 10 grand each. So like it's still 20 grand. Now I get that that's, in terms of his wages, is not a massive amount, but it's still a lot of money. £20,000 is a lot of money to just give away.
Yeah, you need to put in the context of things. It's a lot of money, so it's not peanuts he's just throwing about. I get that. Yeah, I know. People look at guys' wages and just like, it should just go straight off of that. But it's just like anybody else. Everybody's trying to make money. He's trying to look after the family. It's the same with him. He's seen it. He's given as much as he thought he was able to give. So it's more than a lot of other people. A lot of people can still give money. People maybe not wealthy, but they could give £5, give a tenner. It's all relative. Have any of the people who are moaning at him, have any of them give give a penny?
That's it, man. That's it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, it's frustrating, because I felt like if I was him reading those comments, I'd feel a bit like, well, why the hell did I bother? Because like it's almost like, and I know he wouldn't have, because like,
I know for a fact he wouldn't have cared anyway. So
no, of course, he didn't do it for the Like he didn't announce, "Oh, I've donated this money to."
You'll find there'd be a lot of people who have donated who have not said a thing.
Yeah, and he didn't announce that he'd done it. It was just because it was on a Just Giving page, and I think they show up.
Yeah.
And Ian David just said £20,000 could buy the NHS like 20,000 face masks, so they've actually got protection for. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What else we got? Kelly says, if we were to make that donation proportionate to our wages, I think people would struggle to do it. So people should be just be happy for what he gave, which is true. If you worked it out to everyone's wages and gave the same percentage, exactly. I bet people would be like, "Oh, I don't want to give that much." But it is what it is. We had a question. Where was that question gone? Leslie says, "I missed the first 20 minutes. Andy's changed a bit." There it was. Gav says, "Does Kev think that the season should be null and void and start again, basically, or should they finish it as it is now today?"
I wouldn't finish it. Well, I think it's got to be null and void. I wouldn't finish it. I wouldn't just say, right, that's it, because there's just too much uncertainty. There's too many clubs who are, there's teams that probably have to play lower teams in the league and things like you've got to take that into account. And, form. Start of the season might be in all sorts of trouble. You might have loads of injuries, but now you've got your team back. You've got your best team for the last 5-6 games of the season.
Yeah, spot on. And there's always a team which escapes relegation on the last day or two. There's always a team which makes a late run.
Get in the playoffs. For me, there's far too many uncertainties to just say, right, that's it, you've won it. It's either got to be scrapped or played, and it doesn't look like it's going to get played. So
no, and the other thing as well is I'm not going to go into it again, but like West Ham have got a game in hand, but they're in the bottom three at the moment. If they win the game in hand, they're out of the bottom three. Liverpool, and Leslie is in the live chat now, so me and him will start arguing again. But Liverpool haven't won the league yet, mathematically.
No.
So, and if they say, I don't know what their fixtures are, but say their fixtures are against Man City, Liverpool, Man United, Chelsea, Arsenal, etc. If they've still got to play all those teams, it's a bit unfair to then say, "Oh, you've won the league," because you're so far ahead. So I think it's got to be null and void, and I think they should do it as early as possible. I think
I'd agree with you, but I think I understand why they're trying to drag it on as much as you can. But I think it's probably a waste of time dragging it on.
Yeah, and I got to say, I'll go back to something you said initially, which was, we all want the season to be finished. We'd all rather that, but it's unlikely. Don't think it's going to happen. So let's just make a decision and get it done, as it were. I think that's it for the kind of the news and the stories which took my fancy really this week. There was a couple of transfer rumors, but I find them difficult to get. I do love a transfer rumor. I like reading about them and speculating about them. But at this time, I find it difficult to get excited about them. Yeah. One, because I feel like a lot of them are just re-churned out because they've there's no news.
I found that, also there's been a few stories that I've just thought it's not even a story. It's just somebody just obviously just decided they're just going to refresh something. It's happened. And
it's and I feel a lot of the time I read a story and I'm like, I'm sure I read this story a week ago, and it's just been put back out with a different headline. Indeed. Leslie says, he says, "Look, Simon, it's not getting cancelled, mate. It's going to be played in July." You cannot play it in July for numerous reasons, because if you play if you're still playing this season in July, that means you either got to go straight into next season, or you've got to move back the Euros again in the next summer because this season will still be going on. Do you see what I mean? It's never end. The ramifications to it are too far wide. It's got to be done by, you can go a little bit into the summer, but you can't still be playing in July, August, because then you've got to move the start in September back. Then you've got to move the Euros again. And you can't keep moving the Euros because of, hotels and travel and venues and all this other stuff. So I think you said end of April, they're going to have to make a decision. And I think that's when the decision is going to have to be made.
Mm-hmm.
There you are. That was one rumor which I did see actually, and Kelly's just reminding me. She said Bale and Ramsey to Everton apparently is the Everton have got a bit of cash to spend, haven't they? And do you see that one coming off? Either or both.
Maybe Ramsey, but I can't see Bale. Well, I'd be surprised.
The one thing I think which could go in its favour would be Carlo Ancelotti. I think he's a very respected manager. And they have got a lot of money to spend. So they could pay the wages and stuff.
There might be a wee bit, because of both of them going there as well, it might actually help things along.
Yeah, I've said for a couple of years now, I wanted Aaron Ramsey to go to Man United. I felt like he could go there and be a stalwart in their midfield for years to come. I felt like he was suited to the club and the way they play, and it never kind of happened. It looked like he was going to go there before he went to Arsenal, but it never kind of happened. And then he went to Arsenal, did really well at Arsenal, but I've always felt like he never got the respect of the fans.
I think he had a chance to go. I think he had a chance to go to Man United. Well, just from rumours I heard that that both clubs were in for him, and he ended up choosing Arsenal. I think the only problem what happened with Aaron was when he got that bad injury. It took him about a year to about 18 months before he was playing back where he was before he actually got injured. And when that time, I think he's obviously stocks in football sort of lowered a bit, and that's when he actually came to us on loan and was unfit, and he was up there. He was actually one of our better players during the spell when he wasn't even at his best.
Yeah, funny you should say that, because we'll move on to we're going to talk some classic football. So being the professionals that we are, we'll use that as a link into the first game that we're going to discuss, which was Cardiff Swansea from 2011 at Swansea City's Liberty Stadium. And I was looking at the Cardiff City team for this game or this season, and how we did not get promoted that year, I really just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had for this game, it was Tom Heaton, Super Kev, fullback, Hudson, Declan Keenan, Paul Quinn, Peter Whitnam, God rest his soul, Olifanjana, Ramsey, Chopra, Bothroyd, Bellamy. And then on the bench, you've got like Emmanuel Thomas and John Parkin, Darcy Blake, Chris Burke, Steve McPhail.
Kumi there as well, I think.
Yeah. Wasn't that his second spell in that at that point?
Yep.
His first spell, I thought he was a lot better. He's one of my all-time favourite Cardiff City players. He has. My oldest boy, he was like 15 now. We went on a stadium tour when he was a baby, and then we were up in like Ninian Park, and we were going through the different places, and we were like came into like a function room or something, and Jason Kumas was in there, except he wasn't like supposed to be meeting people. He wasn't there intentionally. He was just there, and then all of a sudden, all these people came through on a tour, and he was a bit shell shocked. And I asked him if he'd have a picture with a baby, and I've got this picture of Jason Kumas, and he's kind of holding my son, like at arm's length, looking a bit scared and confused.
I used to be a bit like that with other people's kids and that, and then you have your own kids, and then you're just like
chucking them up in the air. But going back to like Cardiff City is that team, that squad for that year was so good. And it's difficult to understand how we didn't go closer. I'm not sure. Would you remember where you finished in 2011? How good's your memory?
It was fourth, was it? I finished fourth. Fourth?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I that's why I was thinking fourth or fifth, but John Casey says, what a team.
It was good. We played some good stuff. We were really open for what I remember. Just if we didn't score when we were on top of games, and we struggled because we were always looking like conceding just because we were wide open. But we had such an attacking threat going forward.
Oh God! Yeah. But Bellamy, Bothroyd, and Chopra in the Championship, that is about as good as you're gonna get.
Yeah, I think the one thing, the problem I think, looking back, we try to play everybody without actually just getting a team together, just putting a team out, as opposed to we actually just, Bellers was out on the left wing where he was not nearly as effective as he was when he was playing for us through the middle. But then you've got to leave out either Jay or you've got to leave out Chops. So
they were so good together as well, weren't they? Even as good as quality as Bellamy is, Bothroyd and Chopra together as a duo were so often so good and so unplayable that you didn't want to break them up.
Yeah, that's how I ended up playing.
Oliver and Jana.
He was class.
Say again, sorry, mate.
That's how I ended up playing the left back a lot more when Bellers was playing front, because I was sort of just a no nonsense defender. I certainly wasn't foraging forward at that time. So gave Bellers a wee bit more license to not worry about going back to the park, defending. I think, but I just think, just looking back at that team, I just thought we just try to cram in we try to just play too many attacking options at times. Whereas for me, just the two guys we were up top were enough. We should have really sorted the rest of it out, and then looked to have strengthened a wee bit more in front at the back. But that's just me looking back on it from a whole. But we weren't miles off it. I'm sure we were only about 4 or 5 points off it in the end.
Yeah, it's one of those things, and sometimes you can have the best players, but you've got to have the balance right. And
yeah,
I think going off my memory, I think we didn't always have the balance.
I just think we just didn't have a great balance. We were fairly wide open. We've got Wits in the centre of the park, who at that time was all about going forward. Bellers was always going forward. If you played Kumi, he was always about going forward. The only guy you had, Sheol and Jana, was the only player in that team who was capable of sitting and defending. But even he actually at times wanted to go forward. So it was. I'd like to Gav as well. Gav again, he wants to get forward as well. So it was just. And Dave always played 4-4-2. So it was. Looking back, I would have probably changed the system. But
yeah, was it? Yeah, I wonder whether 4-3-3 would have been a good one for those three up front. But
yeah,
4-3-3 historically hasn't always done well in the Championship.
It's one of them. It's quite specialist to actually who you're playing in position. So, like I think I mentioned you, the sitting midfielder. I always thought Steve McPhail, if it was ideal for him to play in there. We never played that system until Malky came, and then Malky never played him. So, it's a shame because I still think Cardiff never really got the best out of Steve McPhail. If you seen him play in training and knew the ability he had, you should have probably seen a wee bit more out of Maka. But I think it was just down to the system he played didn't really suit Maka at times.
Yeah, and that's scary in itself because he was very, very good for Cardiff City. Yeah. Someone who I consider one of the best midfielders we had in terms of his passing ability.
I still think we could have got much more out of Maka by playing him in a sort of different role. But it is what it is. It's just the way the manager played at the time. It was the system he liked to go with.
Yeah. Who was it? Gaz asked, where's Jet now? I want to ask you a question about Jet actually in a minute, but do you know what he's doing now?
Not a clue. Not a clue.
What was he like? Go on.
He was scary ability. When he first came, I thought, wow, where's this guy? Where's this guy been hiding? Because he was, his feet, for the size of him, strength. He reminded me of Jay, actually. Jay reminded me a lot of Jay. With actually, if anything, he had a few more tricks up his sleeve. But in a game, you would actually send out a search party to see where he was. Know where he was. Just used to go missing. So
yeah, I remember watching him the first time he played, and he like brought the ball down from like a ridiculous angle and did like some trick, and I thought, wow, we're gonna have some player here. And then, like you say, he just kind of never really clicked. Yeah, he would do something exceptional, and then nothing for a very long time.
Even in training in small-sided, you get the measure of people in small-sided games in terms of their feet and how quick they are and how strong and stuff. So even in games like that, he was very good. You just, again, I just don't know. I just never really fitted into the system, or you could never find. But I just want to see when he left Cardiff. I thought to myself, you know what? He could be actually somebody that comes back to haunt Cardiff, but he's going to, kick on and really become a top player. But never really happened for him. I don't actually know where he is now.
Yeah, I'm going to Google it in a minute actually and see if I can work out where he is. What was he like as a lad? Because he had that very lethargic kind of running style, very similar to the likes of like Berbatov, and there's a couple of others, Lukaku to a lesser extent, but they sometimes look like they're not putting the effort in. And he had a bit of a bad reputation as having a bad attitude. Did you see anything like that, or was it just he was quite laid back and sometimes just come across like that?
I'm not sure if he was just didn't know what to do defensively, because he wasn't great going back the park. I remember playing with him in front of me a couple of times. He was very good going forward. We just don't know if he knew how to defend really, and he just never, whether he was used to be a striker or what. I just played with guys in front of us who, I had Joe Mason in front of me for a while, who's a centre forward. And it's hard. It's hard. Got to
no
talk
protection.
You're trying to sort your own game out. You've got to talk guys through games because just they're not really sure where they're meant to be. So it's hard. It's not actually his fault. He just doesn't know the position. So guys would run off him, and you think he's being lazy, but he doesn't actually see them. He's not in a position to see them, or he's not in a. So it's, you can blame boys at times, but sometimes guys are just, they've not got the awareness to see things. And defensively,
that's the thing. If you've never had to do any sort of defensive work or defensive job, it's difficult to know what the job is. And I think, not just for J. Emmanuel Thomas, for other players, there's been players who've struggled when they've been asked to do a defensive job. But equally, like you mentioned just there, you had done a lot of work, or you were an out-and-out defender. But then when, I think, was it Malky you said in the other show we did, where that you were asked to do a lot more going forward, which was new to you, and it's different for you then, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. Even my starting position, they want me a lot higher, which is really alien because I was always used to receiving the ball going forward, because suddenly I'm getting the ball facing back the park, and it's become a challenge for me. It became difficult, and even there was a few times even Hud said to me, just play your normal game, because it's actually affecting you trying to do something different. So it's one of them things. Just never. Under Dave, I got the license to go forward, but my main job was defending. Terry Burton was the coach at the time, and he was big on defending. Just going forward was a bonus. Whereas Malky was probably the other way around. He just seemed that he wanted fullbacks to get loads of assists and score goals. So it's not really my game.
It's difficult. It must be hard then, because especially if you feel like the manager doesn't fancy you, generally, and then you're not comfortable.
That's hard. It's difficult. I used to play better over the other side of the pitch. Even a few of the lads would actually play better on the other side of the pitch, away from the manager. I was thinking, oh, but Malky was like intense. Malky was an intense character. So he was like, if you sat on the sidelines with Malky, it's pretty lively. So
it's different. So there's
oh yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. There's Jason Kumas with my son there. You can't really see it because it's a bit small, but he looks absolutely petrified. As my son, who's now 15, is. I just handed him to him, but yeah. So Kelly just sent a message because I was about to Google it, but I haven't got around to it. J. Emmanuel Thomas is in FIFA 20. Ian David said that, and Kelly said he's playing in Thailand. Someone else is playing in Thailand who used to play for Cardiff as well, aren't they? Who's that? Jay Bothroyd playing in Thailand? No, he's playing.
He's playing somewhere in Asia, but I'm not sure if it's Thailand.
But yeah, well, I'm glad J. Emmanuel Thomas is still playing. I gotta say, I was worried that he might have.
I was genuinely going to say he's probably over in one of these countries. Just still earning good money and still because he's quite flashy and he's got a bit of flair. So it's one of them guys.
Yeah, so he went from Cardiff on loan to Ipswich for a couple of seasons, then Bristol for a couple of seasons. I know Bristol City fans weren't particularly impressed with him. He's only 29, that is incredible to me. That he's only 29. Like he went to Milton Keynes, QPR, and then he's playing in PTT Rayong. So there you go, J. Emmanuel Thomas, talented player. Would you say, with his ability, he should have done? We discussed with them in the Unscripted Uncensored show about Jay Bothroyd. Maybe with his ability, should he have done? Gone on to do more after he left Cardiff. Do you think J. Emmanuel Thomas falls into like a similar bracket whereby he probably should have done a little bit more?
Yeah, I think so. But I think players like that always eventually find a level. I think unless they develop in terms of maturing and learning a game and things like that, that's almost as important. It's a big piece of the jigsaw puzzle in becoming a good footballer, is actually having that ability to learn your trade and how to get a wee bit better in terms of positioning and everything else that goes along with that. If you're not a worker, you need to suddenly become one, because football actually, the pace of game's got quicker, fitness levels got higher. There's no hiding place anymore in terms of work rate and things like that. There's just, you get monitored for every single thing, so there's not a chance you can get away with it. So you need to have the full package these days.
Yeah, no, I agree. Jay Bothroyd's playing in Japan. I just wanted to circle back. Stu MC messaged on YouTube. I think because he's watching on YouTube, he can skip back to the start of the show if you miss it, whereas on Facebook or Periscope you can't. And he says, let's have a look. He says, Liverpool have always given back to the people. Carragher even donated a coin to Arsenal fans in the FA Cup tie at Highbury. All credit to Jamie. And I do agree with that. Liverpool have been very good with their work within the community. And I think that's why their fans were universally disappointed with the decision, or the initial decision, to furlough all the non-playing staff. It felt as if they were taking the Michael a bit. And they could have just left it, but they've rectified it. So they deserve credit for that as well, for rectifying it after a couple of days. Okay, so back to the classic, the retro football talk. We're on Swansea versus Cardiff from 2011. It was sealed by a superb Craig Bellamy goal. Aaron Ramsey was outstanding in this game. I will say there was a couple of times where he tried a bit too hard. Like he got caught a couple of times trying to do too much. But I think, obviously, he'd come back on loan. I think he was so desperate to do well, particularly against Swansea, that maybe he just, was trying a bit too hard. But the goal itself, there's my unit just falling down. The goal itself is superb. Jay Bothroyd picks it up on the right wing, and he basically holds off 3 players, and then plays a crossfield ball to Bellamy, who knocks it into Ramsey. And then as Ramsey lays it off, Bellamy feints to continue his run down the wing. The Swansea fullback, takes a hook, line and sinker, and then Bellamy bends a superb goal into the bottom right. You played in this game. I believe only played half, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Hamstring injury.
Was that a hamstring injury? That's unheard of.
Yeah, my hamstrings are made of plasticine, so
yeah.
Deal with
that. Interestingly, Darcy Blake came on for you, and it was around this time where Wales played England, and he marked Rooney out of the game, and people were predicting exceptional things for him. He looked like he was going to really go on and be the next one out of the Cardiff City Academy to do big things. Why do you think that didn't quite happen for him?
Just another one, just didn't have that wee bit of mental makeup. It's just a wee bit, it's doing the hard stuff away from the pitch. Yeah, away from the 90 minutes on Saturday is the toughest bit. And Darcy will know himself. He actually, he probably let himself down a wee bit in terms of how he worked away from the football pitch. But he was a very good footballer, and a really good lad, actually, a really good teammate as well.
I don't mean to put you on the spot asking you about all these teammates and that. I'm not looking for you to like slate them or anything. I'm not trying to get like that's anything like that. I'm just interested because Darcy Blake was very, very good for Cardiff City. And like I know people who know him, and they say like he enjoyed a beer and stuff. And maybe that was part of the problem, that maybe he was not fully focused on what you should be as a professional footballer, maybe. But for talent wise, I thought he was
great. When I first came to Cardiff, he played, I'm sure it was against Stoke or somebody, came on as a substitute in the middle of the park. I was like, what age is he? He's a good player, isn't he? Didn't realise what age. I'm sure he was only about 18, 19 maybe.
Well, I always thought he was going to be a holding midfielder for us. Because he had that, he could pick like a pass. He was quite calm on the ball.
Yeah, he was very good in possession, and his decision making was good. Athletically at that age, he was very good. So it was just when things just started going wrong for him. It's one of these guys. I think when he got injured, that was a issue with him, just keeping his fitness when he got injured. So I think he had a few injuries, and he just never ever gets. You'll find if you don't do the hard graft when you're injured, you find yourself getting injured again pretty quickly.
Yeah. Kelly just says in the chat, she said the worst thing he did was go to Palace because he was, he's a Valleys boy and he missed home. I think there's probably some truth in that, and I think that coupled with picking up injuries and then adding in maybe the difficulty away from the pitch, it all adds up. And I think if you find it difficult to maybe kind of focus off the pitch, move it away from your home can sometimes be make or break, because it can make it better because you haven't got maybe your friends you've grown up with or whatever to distract you, or just saying, do you want to go and play pool, or do you want to go and have a beer or whatever. But also it can make you homesick and make it worse.
No, 100%. I'd agree with that as well. I think Darcy was obviously the Cardiff boy through and through. So I think when Malky came in, he was very. Malky wanted guys ultra fit. The body fat had to be under 10%. They had to be able to do a certain amount of runs in terms of bleep test. Darcy actually always fell short, just not by much, but So he was always under the spotlight when Malky was there, which it's hard. I told you about when Malky was, if you weren't in his select guys in terms of, guys who are going to be playing every week, then it's tough. It was really tough. It wasn't easy to get back in the team, and it wasn't easy when you weren't playing, because Malky didn't actually want you doing a lot of work, so you had to do it off your own back. You had to do a lot of your own stuff off your own back, which is, it's hard. It's not easy doing that yourself. You've got to find some bit of motivation for somebody. I think with Darcy just needed a wee bit of help at that time, but
he was young as well, and I think sometimes young footballers get thrown under the bus a little bit in terms of not just like, how do I put this? So like sometimes young players, maybe they need a bit of help to stay focused, or they need a little bit of help to
totally agree
to make the right decisions off the pitch.
Totally agree.
They don't always need like an iron rod telling them you're not fit enough, or you've got too much body fat, or whatever it may be. Sometimes they need a bit of a hug and a
I totally
you
agree. I think there's guys who just got certain body types that just it's difficult, very, very difficult to lose that extra bit of weight. I was lucky in terms of myself. I naturally fairly skinny, so take a lot of work for me to lose weight. So I know some other boys, it's hard work, It's certainly.
Who was the king of the bleep test during Malky's time in the squad?
Don was up there. I was all right at it. I was quite good at it. But Don Cowie was
Cowie.
Yeah. Don was
underrated.
I used to just try and run alongside Don if I could, and just try to hang on his coattails and just try and stay there to the end. I was actually, when I was younger, I was very good at that bleep test. Actually, I think it got me about 3 or 4 new contracts off the back of that bleep test.
That's the boy.
It's pretty. I didn't mind it. I was all right to run. I wasn't too bad. A few boys. There was a guy called Jonathan Meads who was a young lad.
Youth player.
Oh my God.
Young player.
He was a strong boy and quite big, and he did running with me and Chris Burke at the time were quite good runners. So me and Burkey were just like, we'll set a good pace. We'll just get into a good rhythm. Won't do anything daft. Then here comes Jonathan Meads out of nowhere. Just went. Burkey just looked at each other. Nah, he's going to blow up. He's going to blow up with someone. He just kept going. And it's like, he's a marathon runner. The guy can run forever. Yeah, but there's certain guys who just took it in their stride with their running, which is, I never found it easy, but quite naturally fit.
I was going to say you were super fit, up and down that touchline. What were you there when Josh McGuinness came into the first team at Cardiff, or he was on the fringes when he was a goalkeeper, wasn't he, when he first came in to the first team, and then obviously now he's a international striker, which is it's a great story.
You couldn't write it. Scary. He was actually waiting to get released. He was waiting to get released from Cardiff as a goalkeeper. But he's had a few games left of the season. Said, "Look, just go up top." I think he used to be a striker. I don't know, but he's a big, strong boy. He's got right feet. So he went up front. He scored quite a few goals. So they said, "We'll give you a year as a striker." And he found himself just occasionally coming in to train with us, and he held it up well. He was so raw, but he just won every header, and he was a handful, and he ran channels, he just did things. He was a grafter as well, and he was actually a good lad. He was a funny boy. He was thick as mince, but he was just But yeah, so at one stage he was actually a substitute goalkeeper against Liverpool in the cup on the bench for us, and then now he's he's just international striker.
And he's probably got I think he's got a very good record for Northern Ireland, but he's probably got a good chance of getting up there in terms of record amount of goals. I doubt he'll break the record, I don't think, but he'll be up there because they haven't over the years. Northern Ireland have not scored that many goals.
He's been a striker in the most successful sort of era, so it's quite scary, really.
Yeah, he's got a good chance. Good chance. Peaches says, she says, I love Philip Kiss. And I said, well, Peaches, if you love Philip Kiss, then the show for you is Unscripted and Uncensored with Kevin McNaughton and myself, which came out this morning, is available on youtube.com/AcePodcastNation and all the usual podcasting and radio apps, because Kevin talked in detail about Philip's ability to tackle, or lack of, whichever way you look at it. We talked about many other things. It was a very fun show. Kevin drank his red wine dry, and I asked the questions the people had set, and it was good crack. So let's just finish off on this Cardiff Swansea game. Like I said, Ramsey, very, very good. Bothroyd had a good game. Bellamy scored a cracker. Olifinjana, one of the most underrated players that season, was superb. Kevin McNaughton, hamstring injury. Very disappointing. Against Swansea as well. Swansea had, some good players there. Ashley Williams, Angel Rangel, Dyer, Sinclair, Joe Allen.
Yeah.
They had a good side. Not as good as Cardiff's, though. But it was very entertaining. I watched the highlights again, and it was a very entertaining game. We started well and we finished well, and then Swansea came into it in the middle of the game. But Jay Bothroyd missed an absolute sitter 35 seconds into the game.
Yeah.
Which, in those couple of seasons, he was scoring those type of chances for fun.
Yeah.
And he just dragged it all sorts of wide. And, that could have been a game changer. 35 seconds in is a big one. What do you remember about this game?
I remember there were a couple of chances at the start of the game. I think Jobs was offside as well. Hits the post. We started. I was, like I said to you before, we were quite an open team. So I always felt when we were on top of the score, and we didn't score early on. So we always likely to concede a chance or two. So it's just one of them things. I pulled up a hamstring injury about 5 minutes before half time. I couldn't run second half, so I just came off. But what I remember, the second half was it was eachy peachy really. Towards the end of the game, we actually started coming back into it a bit, and then it was just a great strike. That was the only thing that was missing from us on the game. It was just the final end product, and Bellas, to be fair play to him, it was some strike. Actually, I didn't see it from behind the angle before, and the way he actually hits it, he doesn't really curl it, he actually smashes it, hits it with the laces, and actually it bends with the laces, which is pretty tough to do.
Oh yeah, and Darcy Blake also hit the post towards the end of the game as well. He had a very good game actually coming on for you. Yes, so some of our other classic games. I wonder if we can work out who selected this next game. It's from 1977, and the final score played at Wembley, and the final score was England 1, Scotland 2.
Wonder who picked that one.
Yeah, I know, innit? But so tell me about this game then, mate. Tell me about this game.
Well, it's famous for the main reason it's famous is because Scotland ran on the pitch and just completely wrecked the place. Broke the goals.
Is that the one? Sorry to interrupt you. Is that the one where the goals got broken and the nets got ripped down and stuff?
The pitch got cut up. There's people stole bits of the park and ended up having souvenirs draped across Scotland. Bits of Wembley in the back garden. People were like cutting holes and just plopping a bit of Wembley back in their own garden.
Oh wow!
Yeah, because Scotland back then Scotland were the better side, so they were expected actually to come down and win. And every time
Well, they had
the game was played at
some
half-time,
team.
every time the game was played at Wembley, Scotland had a bigger support at the game. So if you watch the highlights of the
Is
game,
that right?
you'll hear the support for Scotland's a lot louder than it is England.
Oh, is that right? They had some team though, Scotland in
Yeah,
1977.
that was a good team.
Dalglish. Who else was in there? Souness, was it?
Yeah, Danny McGrain.
Wicked team. It's interesting though, isn't it? Because, like you said there, Scotland were actually expected to win.
Yeah.
But, it's been so long for people like myself that's been the case. So it's difficult for me to imagine that being the case. I've just lost my bubble. Oh, my hair's going to have to stay down, which I don't like. Yeah, it's interesting because, like, since I've been alive, Scotland have always been the underdogs in this game. So watching it and hearing the crowd be so loud and Scotland play some awesome football, some real good quality. It wasn't like a smash and grab like perhaps what you'd expect now. Yeah. It was proper football.
Yeah, they were in control of the game. Just a like quality throughout their team. Even that sort of era was. Scotland will look back and just think of chances missed, really, more than anything else, when they actually had probably one of the best teams in the world back then. So, yeah. But nowadays it's slightly different.
Who's your favourite Scottish player of all time?
I think growing up. I was a fan of Paul McStay when I was younger. I don't know, really.
I was always a big fan of Archie Gemmill.
Yeah, just a wee bit before my time. I remember watching Scotland and John Collins as well. That sort of era, France 98, was it, I think? France 98. Scotland's last tournament anyway. Scotland the last tournament they qualified for, I think, France 98. So that team, likes of John Collins, you had, I think, who else? Striker wise, it was just like McCoist and Jury and guys like that. So, but I like John Collins. He was playing at Monaco at the time, and he was at the top of his game. So he was good left peg.
Yeah, he's an exceptional footballer. In very many ways, he was very, very good. Yeah. So let's talk about the game a little bit. I watched the highlights and got a little bit of a write-up, but my memory's rubbish, so I'm going off memory. But England had a great time. They had Ray Clements in goal. It's some really good footballers.
Yeah, they didn't have a bad team. Just done on paper, Scotland were a better team. He's quite famous for a few comments John Motson made after the game as well, when he's talking about Scottish supporters. This is when Scottish fans run onto the pitch. He says, "Oh, this is so very Scottish." Took a bit.
Classic.
So I took a bit of step back, to be fair, from Scottish people.
So very Scottish. Gaz wants to know, where were you in 1979 and did you break the goals? 77, sorry, not 79.
Yeah.
No, you'd have only been a nipper anyway.
We went before my time, but my dad was quite into showing me a lot of old Scotland games and showing Scotland when they were really good team. So we used to live off past glories, really, to be honest with you, until
like Wales, mate, that isn't it? Because we took so long, we never qualified for a major tournament before 2016. Before that, it was like 1950 or something. So we had to live off like past glories and close shaves and stuff like that. It's what you've got to do. If you haven't had the glories and the winning, you've just got to
Yep.
Gotta go with what you got to go.
I did look at a different game. I was actually going to look at, I think it was Scotland v Wales at Ninian Park.
Yes.
1-1. I think Jock Stein passed away that game. It was. Did look at that. I did think about talking about that game, but I went for
it's a tough one. That one.
A victory for Scotland against the old enemy. So
and so a couple of people had suggested. Well, after I announced these games, a couple of people asked for Scotland versus England from Euro '96. So I think a few England fans have asked for that in response to you picking this.
I did see that text message you sent me. That actually just got deleted straight away when you said that. I said you fancy watching that one. Completely got swerved. There was no way I was sitting watching. It broke my heart, that game. I was actually in tears at that game.
Were you?
Oh yeah, brutal that was for a Scotland fan. So we played well. We were in the game and just
the magic man
missed the penalty as well. So yeah, it was brutal.
Who missed that penalty?
Gary McAllister. The ball moved as he went to kick it.
He's how many times? He probably the only penalty he ever missed.
And Yuri Geller said after the game it was him that moved the ball with his mind. So Yuri Geller's not in the Christmas list either.
Yeah, he's not popular in Scotland.
No.
I was just looking at the team which Scotland had, like Gordon McQueen, Kenny Dalglish, Adam Rowe, Alan Rowe, Ruff. I don't know how you pronounce that. Danny McGrain, Willie Donachie.
Danny McGrain, very, very good. Danny McGrain, right back for Celtic, was one. My dad talks about him constantly. Says one of the best players he's ever watched. Says, unbelievable. The right back.
Bruce Rioch, quality player.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good game. Gordon McQueen and Kenny Dalglish scored.
Yeah.
Joe Jordan also had as well. Archie Gemmell and Lou Macari on the bench. Kenny Dalglish and Gordon McQueen scored for Scotland. Mick Channon scored for England with a consolation penalty in the last couple of minutes. But I mean, looking at the England team, they had a couple of good players, but nowhere near the depth which they've had before and since.
No.
So their team was Ray Clements, Phil Neal, Mick Mills, Brian Greenhoff, Dave Watson, Eminent Hughes, Trevor Francis, Mick Channon, Stuart Pearson, Brian Talbot, and Ray Kennedy. So, Trevor Francis, first £1 million player, Eminent Hughes, very good, Ray Clements, excellent, and then Mick Channon, obviously, as well. And then the rest of them, there's a few journeymen in there and a few, not so good.
The thing with that, though, as well, that Scotland, I don't think had won at Wembley for about 10 years before that game as well. So that's what, again, Scotland expecting a victory came down in their thousands, really. And it was, it became a bit of an after party. Yeah,
it was in the British Home Championships as well.
Won that. I think I'm not sure what would have happened if it had been a draw or Scotland lost. I think either went to Wales or went to England, one or the other. Don't
know. Ian wants to know what you're drinking.
I'm on the dregs of what's left in my fridge, so I've just went from a beer to now on to Copperberg, which I'm not a big fan of, but it's just what's there. It's what is available at the moment. Tough times.
Indeed. So the other games that we selected to watch, there was the 2004 League Cup final, which was Borough versus Bolton.
Yeah.
But I think I might save that one. I don't know. I was thinking of saving that one for Andy because Borough.
I think Andy has in-depth knowledge on that than I do.
Yeah, and obviously Borough haven't won that many tournament trophies over the years, so I think he might like to relive it.
That's the only one, but they won the championship.
Not sure. No, I don't think they have.
That was as far as I know, that was one of the first ever trophies, as in first ever cup or major trophy.
Yeah, so maybe we'll save that one for Andy for next week. I did think about doing it anyway because obviously you had a stint at Bolton, but Bolton lost as well. So
Yeah.
We don't want to put you through it. Did you enjoy your time at Bolton?
I did the first spell, but the second spell just didn't play, and it was sort of hell on earth for me because I wasn't playing, I wasn't really travelling, I was just sitting in the stands. It was just, and I didn't.
How frustrating is that for a player? Because I know, like, sometimes players
get. All right if you're allowed to leave or if you can get away, but I couldn't get away. I was tied in to the end of the season, so I was just in limbo. So yeah, it became hard. I didn't enjoy it.
Do players how does it affect players when they're not playing and they're just traveling to watch in the stands? Does that get frustrating? Because I know, sometimes players get criticised for not caring if they play or if they don't, and not giving two hoots either way. But I'd imagine that it would be really frustrating, and I'd imagine that it would get me down after a while.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it because I'd been lucky enough that I'd been in and around the first team since I was 17. The longest spell I think I went without playing maybe about 4 or 5 games on the bench. So up until that point it was tough. So the reason I left Cardiff really was to get games. So so to be sitting in the stand, I mean, I'd have been happier at Cardiff sitting in the stands than it would have been at Bolton. So travelled, took all my family up there as well, which was a bit of an upheaval. So just
it's not close either, is it? To Cardiff, it's a bit of a trek.
Yeah, it was hard. It was tough. I didn't enjoy it at all, especially then I got myself back in the team, then I broke my leg, so it was just like
nasty.
Yeah. So didn't enjoy it.
No. Okay, and then the final game which we're going to discuss. So guys, if you want to ask Kev any questions and stuff, drop them in the comments on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, and then we'll go through them at the end. The final classic game which we're going to discuss today is the 1999 Champions League final between Bayern Munich and Man United. Do you remember where you were when this game was on?
I was at my dad's house because my dad, bit of a Man U fan. I like watching Man U when I was younger. I always watched them in Europe. I think it was I would have just been coming. I would have came back down from Aberdeen where I was in the youth team, I think. So I'd have been staying at mum and dad's for about 3 or 4 weeks. So we just sat there with my dad watching it. We're both we wanted Man U to win, so we were just it's not happening for them because I remember the game. Man U actually played all right for a spell. I think first half. Just never ever looked like scoring though. It was just always sort of getting to the final third and things breaking down. So just looked like they were running out of time. And then obviously I think Bayern get some unbelievable chances towards the end of the game. They hit the bar, I think. They hit guy dinks one off the post. Just think to yourself, you might get a chance here. Might get the one chance. They get 2. They take both of them.
Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it, where there comes a point where you just think this might be their day. And it's funny how that works, where Bayern just kept missing these chances. And obviously Bayern had, it was quite a lucky goal early on in the game, but it was so early in the game that it gave United a long time to recover. But you're right, they never really looked like it was one of those frustrating games if you're a Man United fan because
Man U played all right. Yeah, it wasn't really towards the end of the game where they actually looked threatening because Bayern defended really well. I can remember that as well. We actually defended really well for the majority of the game because was it Colton York up top who were on fire at that time.
All season the 4 strikers for Man United had just been ridiculous, hadn't they? And the thing is, they'd done this all year, scoring 1 or 2 goals in the last 2, 3, 4 minutes, all season, and that season, they did it for years, but like that particular season when they won the treble, they just kept doing it. Like they'd be 1-0 down with 10 minutes to go, and they'd end up winning 2-1 constantly. And it was just, and Bayern, like I say, just missed so many chances, particularly towards the end of the game. You just felt like United would get one chance just to get that equaliser. And you feel that if the team gets the equaliser, they'll probably go on and win it because it'll took the stuffing out of Bayern completely. So I watched this. I was in the Radar Arms pub with all my mates, and we just having a few beers, and it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because I remember watching it, and the thing which always strikes me when I rewatch it is the same thing which struck me then is when the first goal goes in, the Bayern players look.
You just look gone, yeah.
Distraught, and it's like there's still like at least a few minutes to go of injury time and whatnot. And that's the first goal. Obviously, when the second goal goes in, they don't even want to kick off. But it was people forget it was a massive, like United hadn't won the Champions League before.
Yeah, scary.
But it was also the same for Bayern. They hadn't won. I don't know if they'd never won the Champions League or they hadn't won it for such a long time.
I think they would have not been in the final the year before as well, or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, they'd lost the season before, so there was a lot on it for them. So psychologically, when they were 1-0 up, and there's that famous clip of I think it's what's the blonde midfielder?
Oh no,
the blonde midfielder when he goes to take the corner, and Effenberg might be he celebrates to the crowd, as if he thinks, it's all over, they've won. And then, 5 minutes later, it's all over.
Mate. Not today.
Oof. Have you ever had a game like that where you've thought you've had it in the bag and then within minutes you've lost? Or what's the biggest comeback you've been on the wrong side of, should I say?
Been 3-0 up and drew 3-0. Been 4-0 up and drew 4-0.
I was going to say, did you play in that Peterborough game when Cardiff 4-0 up?
I came off at half time at 4-0. Again, guess what was wrong with
hamstrings?
Yep, hamstring. So yeah, I watched the carnage unfold from the sidelines, but it was scary.
Painful viewing.
We nearly lost it. They had a great chance at 4-0.
Flipping heck.
Scary. Especially at home. They just had a bit of momentum. They were good. They were actually a good goal scoring team, but they conceded goals as well, obviously. But even still, we shouldn't have lost that. No, shouldn't have.
No. You can't be throwing away a 4-0 lead, can you? At any level. Of course, Solskjaer and Sheringham with the equaliser and winner, respectively. Many a famous scene and commentary quote from this particular game. Fergie was loving it. I've never seen him so excitable. It was one of those games where you just remember where you were when you watched it. It's just one of them, isn't it?
I was actually jumping about the living room, my dad's house. My dad was going mental. Even my mum came through and was like, "What's going on?"
And when you factor in that Paul Scholes and Roy Keane were both suspended, it does make it even more remarkable.
Yeah, it was because I remember. I'm sure Blomqvist or someone was on the park. I remember seeing him coming off. I was thinking to myself, "What was he actually doing on the pitch? Never mind coming off."
Yeah, Ronnie Johnson started ahead because Henningberg was injured. And you had, like I say, Scholes, Keane both suspended. And particularly in Keane's case, Keane had been so influential that season, especially in the Champions League.
The performances I watched on the telly was him against Juventus. I remember that, just thinking, unbelievable that game.
One of the greatest performances I've ever seen by any player, that was against Juventus. Yeah. When you consider that, I think it's after about 20 minutes, he knows that he's out of the final regardless.
It's quite scary, actually.
Yeah, it is just it's one of those things, I suppose. But like to have that mentality, like we talked in the Unscripted and Uncensored show about mentality for young players.
Yeah.
And, Roy Keane mentality to be able to drag your team as a captain, just even without being suspended, to be able to do it, but to be able to do it after being, yellow carded after 15, 20 minutes, knowing you're not going to play, to be able to put all that aside and drag your team through is special.
It takes something special to do that. Even affects the best players at times, Remember even Gascoigne, I think, was it Gascoigne?
Broke down in tears.
Yeah, he struggled with it, which is not easy.
But yeah, Gary Lineker there's that famous thing in there where Gary Lineker says to the bench, what's he say? I can't remember what the word is. He says something like he's lost it or something to the bench because Gaz is crying. And obviously, the strange thing with that clip is you're watching it. If you just focus when the camera's just focused on Gaza, is you'd think it's the end of the game. But it's not. It's like in the middle of the game.
Yeah, it's time to go. I think they're down at that point, but I'm not sure. That the game they went to penalties. They lost in penalties.
Yeah, I think it was. There's been many a penalty loss, so it's difficult to differentiate. But yeah, I think they did lose on penalties. So we had a couple of questions. So guys, we're going to be finishing up in a minute. So if you have got any questions, get them in now, quick, and we'll go through them as we finish. Let's have a look. Peaches wants to know: have you ever had a fight on the pitch or witnessed a fight or scrap on the pitch?
I had a fight when I was younger. Just
tut.
First ever sending off. Just was like a proper rival game. We used to play with a team, Celtic Boys. I don't know why. The guy kicked us off the ball, and I just turned round and volleyed him. Cantona sort of style. So I got sent off for sent off for doing something. I went for a shove or one of them. I'd actually,
it was a proper sending off.
Yeah, it was a proper sending off. It was probably a double red, to be honest with you, but nah.
Gonna do it.
Yeah, you might as well do it properly. Yeah, so I did fights on the pitch.
Did you ever had like a teammate lose it? Lose it on the pitch?
Yeah, this again where I grew up was the nicest. It was a pretty rough sort of scheme. So the team I played for were all quite hardy guys. So one of my players got sent off. It was a Scottish Cup game, so we're through in Glasgow, which added to the sort of spice of it. So he got sent off, but during the game, he ran back on the pitch, started fighting with the guy he was fighting with. So he got sent off again. And then about 10 minutes later, he ran back on the pitch again and started fighting with the ref. He got sent off. He got sent off for the third time. He got 3 red cards. Yeah, that was pretty special, that one. I feel like that. I've seen a guy for the opposition team who there was a gang waiting for him. There was a gang waiting for him around the pitch, and I'm not joking. Right, he's kicked the ball in for a cross, and he's just ran straight to his car. He's running down the wing, whipped the ball in, and just ran straight to his car. Jumped in his car because there was people waiting to batter him after the game.
When I was about, must have been about 14 or 15, so a long time ago, we played for Penn Turk. I played against Buttown in the cup away, and there's like a wall going along the pitch, like I think it's by train tracks or something, and there's graffiti all over the wall. And then on the other side, you had like high-rise flats. And then all around the pitch, there was just kids ranging from like 8 to like 18, 19. And I'm like this scrawny 15-year-old from like Rada playing football, thinking I'm going to get this fair game. And there was kids behind the goals, like teenagers, just throwing a flick knife at the goalkeeper, at our goalkeeper's feet, and I was just like, yeah, not really interested in playing football. I think we won as well. I think we might have won 1-0 or something, but that was like about as intimidating as you could get for kids. Like, what was the most intimidating atmosphere you've ever played in?
First game at Parkhead was difficult. I didn't play well that game. I got battered by a very good Celtic team, and it was just like a cauldron. First ever experience of a massive stadium like that full. So it was like very intimidating. Something you get used to, I think. It's something you just suddenly just walk out into and just think this is it. But it took a bit of getting used to playing in that sort of atmosphere.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
John, go on, man.
Yeah, that was. I mean, that probably the best atmosphere I played under is Celtic Park. Ninian Park was good because it was old school. It was on top of you. Yeah, that was good because it was obviously we had the home support. We had that home support.
Yeah.
So that was good.
John Casey says, "What are your ambitions as a coach going forward, and who would you most like to manage?" You answered that question in the Unscripted and Uncensored show. So really, I should stop you from answering it just to make people listen to the other show, but I won't because I'm nice.
Yeah, no, it's just at the early stages of coaching, so I'm still learning my trade. So I'm coaching younger players at the moment. So the plan is just to keep doing that for the time being, and then get the rest of my coaching badges done. And then if there's any opportunities that arise, then I'll go for it. But I think it's still early days in terms of coaching. I'm somebody that believes you need to learn it as well.
Yeah.
I took a leaf out of Craig Bellamy's book in terms of starting with younger ages and try to work your way up till you get to a point where you think you're capable of taking a bigger club.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather have you, Bellamy, pretty much anyone than Neil Harris as Cardiff City manager. I got to be honest, but that's just my opinion. I know not everyone agrees, but there we go. I thought I saw another question before we finish. John Casey says, I played there, character building. I don't know if he's referring to the one you said or if he's referring to the one I said about in Buttown, but yeah. Okay. Anyone else got any more questions? Going once, going twice. Just give him a second. So Kev, tell the people where they can find you on social media. Buttown. Yeah, John Casey just said about Buttown. Yeah, it's a character building place indeed, John. It is indeed. A lot of fun though. Looking back on it. Yeah, Kev, tell the people where they can find you on social media.
Twitter feed is Kev McNaughton, I think. Instagram is Kev McN17, I think it is. MCN17. Sure it is. 100%.
I love the fact that you don't know. It is.
Nah, not one for dishing out my social media stuff.
No. Also, guys, check out Kev's art on his website, which I wrote down and I've now forgotten, so I'm going to bring it up now quickly. But his art is superb, and you can buy prints of it from his website. It's very, very good. You can also, I encourage you to check out the sponsor of the show, Away Day Apparel, especially for listeners and viewers of Ace Podcast Nation. If you use the code AA Podcast Nation, all in lowercase, you get 10% off all orders. They've got a lot of new t-shirts and new hats and stuff in there at the moment, which they've recently brought in, and they've got a lot of new stuff coming later in the year. Check out awaydayapparel.co.uk because they've got some great designs from their head of design, which is A.D. Wollaston, who has designed for some of the biggest designers in the world. David Llewellyn asks, who pulled the pin on the fire extinguisher Kev or Quinn?
I did. I pulled the pin. I don't know where he's got the story from.
Guy knows everything.
Yes, it was me who pulled the pin, but I did not spray the fire extinguisher.
Yeah, well, it was Kev. And he said, "Where did people get the story from?" So you may as well, seeing as you've admitted to pulling the pin, you may as well tell everyone else the full story now.
After, yeah, okay. Pre-season. So the last night we got to have a beer. So I think Tom Heaton was renowned for not really going on lads' nights out, so he ended up going home pretty early. So just so happened his door was still open. So me and Paul Quinn went into the room just to annoy him basically. But Quinny's found this extinguisher and he's thought, you know what, I'm just gonna go in here and get him with the extinguisher. Quinny is proper trying to doesn't know how to work it, and he's just like shaking it, pulling all the buttons, everything's just not happening. It's not happening for him. But I just spotted the pin, and I'm just talking like grenade, and then next minute Quinny was just. But it wasn't one of them gas canisters. It was sand. So the whole room was like the Sahara Desert by the time Quinny finished it.
No, I bet they were not happy.
Nah, so I don't know if I was culpable for just. I didn't take the blame. I didn't take the blame for it.
Oh, did you not?
Nah, I said I was there, but I never did anything. And then Bungle, who that was Tom's nickname.
Yeah.
He said, "Kevin, you pulled the pin and shouted grenade at the top of your voice, so I think you were involved." So
grenade.
Yeah, basically. So that was my involvement.
That is a classic story. Well done. And well done. Thanks for sharing that. And well done, Di, for asking the question.
How did he find that? How did he find that out, though? That is the secret. It was going to my grave.
Not anymore. Di knows everything. So I said about Kev's website for his art. I've just put that across the bottom of the screen now. Check out his art. It's excellent. You can also buy prints. You could check out my unscripted and uncensored show with Kev and many other people, including Rodri Giggs, Jack Shaw, Brett Johns, Graham Kavanagh, Paddy the Paddy Pimblett, all sorts of people. We've also got previous shows with Gavin Ray, Graham Kavanagh, Johnny Owen. I can't even think of them. So many shows with all sorts of different people, fighters, footballers, all sorts. You could check out the video versions at youtube.com/ACEpodcastNation. If you could subscribe while you're there, then that would be amazing for us because that helps us continue to grow. And it is the best way to support the channel and the shows. Audio versions are all the usual places: Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, etc. And I will be back next week. I don't know who I'll be with yet, though. It might be Kev, it might be Andy Campbell. I think Andy's returning. Maybe it will be both of them. Who knows? Who the hell knows? But thank you, Kev, for joining me. Thank you for jumping in for Andy again. I know he appreciates it as well. And I appreciate it, certainly. And thank you for sharing that story at the end. I like that. That was a good one.
That took me by surprise. That took me by surprise. You pulled the pin. Oh.
We did 2 hours of unscripted and uncensored the other week, and you didn't have that look of surprise in the whole 2 hours.
Nah, it's quite scary.
Even after drinking a bottle of red wine, Di comes in at the end of the show, asks one question, and you went white as a sheet.
Yeah. Thought I was getting away with that. I thought that was never.
Well, if you don't mind, I might clip that and put it out. But if you'd rather I didn't, I mean, I got to say, whether I clip it or not, it's out there now anyway. This is live, so probably doesn't matter whether I clip it or not. But if you'd rather I didn't, I won't. Ian says good show, and yeah, guys, we'll be back next Monday 7:30. Whether it's one of us, two of us, three of us, we'll definitely be back 7:30. New shows Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday this week. So we've got a WrestleMania review tomorrow. Wednesday, Danny Batten MMA show. And then we'll have another show Friday. And then Sunday, The Boot and the Limp Friday, which is our adult-only comedy podcast where we have an X-rated and light-hearted look at the world and the news and everything around it. We exchange jokes, myself and stand-up comedian Barry Phillips. And then Sunday, the main event of the week, My Story, episode 3, with former WBO world champion Robbie Regan. Kevin, thank you for joining me, my friend. I'm sure you'll be back on soon. And guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for all the comments and the views and the people. I appreciate you all. And we will see you next Monday. Cheers, guys.
Andy Campbell!